All right, I want us to transition to the next topic, and this is to do with on the 16th of August 2019, we saw the speakers of the Senate and the National Assembly appoint a mediation team that was to look at the stalemate involving the Division of Revenue bill. There has been 2 attempts to have a meeting. The first meeting was chaotic. Last week's meeting didn't happen because 7 senators were missing from that mediation team. We have heard from the governors that that is the chairperson of the Council of Governors, Wycliffe Oparanya, saying that they are going to ground the operations within counties on the 16th of September. Yet here we are, we're just 2 weeks to that. We haven't had a resolution of this. We're expecting a mention at the Supreme Court on the 9th of September, but counties are hurting. What, in your view, is the solution so that Baringo County, as they plan their resources, as they plan their roadmap for this financial year, they're able to get out of this situation despite the standoff that exists?
I think both the mediation teams from this National Assembly and the Senate must, in one way or another, stop the headlines and come to some agreement. For sure, we are delaying the development of this country. And when we look at the billions that is bringing the difference, it's not actually what should hold us for this long. If actually the government is not able to feel up to what the counties want, then I think, in my view, maybe they can agree in a staggering way on how to add that money with the time as they build up on the taxation collection. Right. Because if the government doesn't have for sure, then, like the president put it one time, what do you want me to do? Or do you want us to really remove some money from our salaries so that we can add up? You know, from such talks, then it means there's nothing more to be given. And through the budget that we did, actually, for those of us who are in the National Parliament, when you are given the money to divide, you do it up to a point you realize it is all over. And so when I don't think the National Assembly is deliberately refusing to give COG money. It is because it's not available, I think so.
Agnes, as someone who is watching from outside inside, so senators want 335 billion, that's what the senators and governors want. Members of parliament are saying no. National Assembly rather are saying no, we only have 316 to give you. So from someone who is outside watching, and you hear the fact that the mediation talks have now been watered down to shouting, the senators did not show up in the last mediation talks. Have we come to the point where now governors have said, listen, if nothing happens, the next 2 weeks, we'll have a stalemate? Is that the only solution on the table?
It's important to note that it's actually surprising that we are fighting over 16 billion. And considering this is 47 counties fighting over 16 billion only and putting all counties to a stop is really shocking. And I think many people should know, and Wanjiko should realize that the governors, not just even the MPs and the senators, I think it's the highest test right now for the governors to show leadership. If we are not getting the 16 billion, is there a way we can work with what we've been given already? Because the people who are suffering are not the governors and the MPs and the senators.
So a county government shutdown is not a solution.
You can imagine what suppliers are going through. They have already been delayed. They had pending bills over 2 years. Suppliers right now in Nairobi are really struggling. You can imagine what people are going through right now. So when there's no cash flow.
Right. When the governors say, when they threaten to say that within 2 weeks we will shut down county government, is that the only solution on the table?
Of course not. I think the stalemate is a sort of power play. We have seen, sorry, I don't know whether it is quite improper. People are measuring their power using
houses.
Houses, yeah. So we are pulling, they're just pulling rank. And I think the people who are actually suffering on the ground are Wanjiko. And I think it's really improper. Right now, governors should show leadership and actually work with what they have. And what Mheshimiwa Gladwell has proposed, they can have a rollout procedure on how they're going to get this additional 16 billion. But as at now, they should work with what they have.
Honorable Shole, you saw what happened. Individuals who work for the county government had to pay rent late. Their salaries came in late, June and July. When mediation talks turn to blame games and shouting, who are we fooling? Are Kenyans being taken on a ride?
I think that particular mediation team doesn't have any women, right?
That's not true. Let me give you the list of those in
because this is now, it's an ego war. It's not to do with the issue. But majority are men. It's not the majority are men. Okay, let me not the money.
We need to know the percentage.
Yes, also the percentage. Because I always know, I always believe, I always say, and it's been said and confirmed, that women deal with issues issues. Men deal with egos. Ego
that is true.
By the way,
that is true.
Do you know, I think it's going to be 400, is it 4 million or 400 million that each...
not even have a billion.
Yeah, that each county is going to get. And let me tell you, can we look at the list of how many counties did not finish spending their money and it had to be returned back?
Yes.
So I want the counties to be honest with us. Can you go and spend the money, overperform, tell me that every hospital is working, you have spent every penny that you have in the financial year as required, and you have no pending bills, then now tell us, I really need extra money to run operations. You're asking for extra money when you don't even spend the money that you already have. Now, you don't even pay your suppliers on time. You don't even, in fact, when they normally have money, last year they weren't paying salaries on time anyway.
Honorable Shelley, your view is consistent with the members of the mediation team, and these are the names: Aden Duale, John Badi, Cecilin Barire, Junet Mohamed, Kimani Ishungwa, Dr. Makali Mulu, Amos Kimunya, Mishi Mboko, David Sankok, 2 women out of 9.
Exactly.
Can they just
unconstitutional? The mediation team should be disbanded.
Let me give you the list. Let me give you the list from the Senate. Senator
should go 50-50.
Mohamed Mahmoud, Johnson Sakaja, Charles Kibiru, Mutula Kilonzo, Ledama Olekina, Okongo Mogeni, Professor Margaret Kamar, Mithika Linturi, and Nyamunga Rose. Again, 2 out of 9. Yes. But all the same, you look at that and they represent...
let them do a 9-member team of women only. I'm telling you this problem.
We'll get 4-5
Put 100% women. Tomorrow we shall resolve this problem.
The views of the National Assembly representative are consistent with what you're saying. What is going to change?
But it's not necessarily so. Let me tell you how different it is when it's women. Her view is coincidentally the same as National Assembly. Mine is not.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we sit as women, we actually listen to each other.
Wow,
my view.
So you think that if you were the mediation team, you're the you have a solution.
We won't listen to each other. For women, it's not always about ego. We listen to reason.
Issues.
And for me, I am willing to listen to reason. And I'm hearing the governor saying that even when we are given money, it comes late. So we cannot meet our obligations on time. So that must be listened to.
Right.
But on the other hand, we are looking at the fact that the national government is also saying, what is the revenue that we have collected? Is it enough to cascade to this amount of money? Maybe not. Where can we get a middle ground? That is the way we should be looking at it. But what is the war that we are fighting here? The war that we are fighting is an ego war, a supremacy war between National Assembly and Senate. And the Senate wants to push it to the Supreme Court because they've been trying to incrementally get powers that was not granted to them constitutionally. Because, you know, when we are writing this constitution, unfortunately, some of the same members of Senate were with us in Parliament. But I don't know what people were thinking at that point.
They gave all the powers to Parliament, the National Assembly, not knowing they'll go to Senate.
They didn't realize they'll go. But what I'm saying is we cannot cure that. We cannot cure that
by fighting
through Supreme Court or by fighting. If we are able as women again to sit, and we agree, and that's why me sometimes even, and this is the women thing again, I support both the women, what is the group's Embrace, and I support Inua at the same time. Why? Because as women we can negotiate. And I've been encouraging both women groupings that when or if we go through any constitutional process, then our voices must be heard. And one of us is creating a balance between National Assembly and the Senate. Because that's a war that is being fought. It's nothing to do with the money going to
having a conversation around the Division of Revenue stalemate, the Division of Revenue bill stalemate, and we had gone to the point of saying that it's just a ego war, but the fact of the matter is counties are hurting, and I just want to take a look at how much money is at stake, and I will represent the counties that are represented here by the panelists. In Baringo, if you were to move from 316 as proposed by the National Assembly to 335 as wanted by the Senate and the county governments, you'd get an extra 316 million shillings.
But our rollover was 2.4 billion.
2.4. Oh, so you already have it in But it will be used in planning purposes. Then Homa Bay County.
That means they didn't spend.
Yes, but it will be used for planning for this financial year. For Homa Bay County, 419 million shillings is what extra you'd get. For us in Gishu, where Gladys Bosholei comes from, you'd get 393 million shillings more. Excellent. And Embu County, where Agnes comes from, you'd get 267 million shillings. So let me ask.
267.
Yes, 267. So that amount of money, of course, it can do several things at the counties, but is it worth the stalemate that we now have? We're already in the 3rd month of the financial year, and counties have not received their share of revenue.
Okay, let me put it this way. If people were being reasonable and really care for our counties, what we should be saying is that let us at least allow the counties to operate. Let us renegotiate the money at a later date. Because I don't think...
So you pass which bill?
No. Okay, first, you know, there is also an anomaly or misinformation to the public. When we talk about money that goes to the national government and money that goes to the counties, actually the national government is domiciled in the counties. So the money that goes to the national government goes to each of the 47 counties. There is no country called national government and then the counties that are in Kenya. No. So that is what people are confusing. There is also most of the money that goes to the national government is actually used for also projects within a county. So what we should be asking ourselves, if we are being reasonable, is okay, if we can't change this, let us continue with our operations, but let's go back. I'm sure for Uasin Gishu County, I can find 393 million somewhere from the national government to make sure that those for projects that are coming into Uasin Gishu. So it's not a loss.
So
we are exaggerating.
Let's be a little bit practical here. So which bill do you propose we pass? National Assembly is stuck at 316 billion shillings. The Senate wants 335. For you to send this money to the counties, you have to pass a bill. Yes. Which one do you propose we pass?
I agree with the National Assembly, and I've made my remarks very clearly on the floor of the House about it. Because what Senate is trying to do is to take powers that doesn't belong to them. The Constitution doesn't give Senate those powers.
Right.
That is clear.
Okay, but Honorable, then by the end of the day, legislators will continue receiving their salaries while counties and their staff continue to suffer. Is it fair?
I don't think this has to do with legislators receiving their salaries where the counties are not.
But it's the case.
I think it's because it's
come
actually,
end month, everyone will receive their salary.
Yeah, but it's actually not our fault in that sense, because what is happening is there is money that is already allocated. And what the government is saying is that based on the revenues that is collected, we are not at this point able. So we are actually dealing with a bigger issue. And the bigger issue is, and what maybe the county governments are not saying, is they're actually negotiating that the national government needs to let go of certain functions that the national government is still holding on to and funding, which are actually
county functions.
And that is actually what my sister Honorable Sholei is saying, that there are some funds that are going through national government. And if you're talking about devolution, then that should have been transited before. But I don't think that is a war that should be brought at this point, and that should be affecting public resources, and it shouldn't be fought in the way we are doing. I think what they need to do is create another forum, because this has been happening, all these past years. So what we need to do is actually look at what the real issue is. One, the main issue is the ego wars between National Assembly and the Senate, and
that has no legal cure, though.
Well, it has a legal cure. Forward-looking, not backward-looking. And forward-looking basically means that we may need to do a constitutional amendment if we want that. That is one. But secondly, that if the governors want to negotiate with the national government about the resources that the national government is still retaining, which are really functions of the county government, I don't think this is the forum that it should be, doing it. Yeah.
Honorable,
they've allowed it for all these years. And yes, I actually understand the governors and the senators that they are saying, well, maybe this needs to stop. But I think the way they are going around it is also wrong. I think we need to actually put what the problem is on the table and discuss it as such.
Honorable Gladwell, come September 11th is when we are expecting the next mediation talk to happen. But that specific meeting will be unique because this is after the Supreme Court delivers its judgment on the case that we saw the senators and governors take to the Supreme Court. Do you think that that meeting will be a bit more positive, that the mediation talks from that meeting of 11th September will bear more fruit?
I want to really look onto it, that it may come to pass and it will bring us better fruits. From what the Supreme Court will give us, it may change what the mediation team has to do that time. It is not very easy to preempt what will come, but we urge the mediation teams. And like Sholea was putting it, I think this time round, if unfortunately it fails, they should consider adding the number of women in that mediation team, or even make it a full women issue, so that we stop dealing with egos and we deal with issues.
Would you be taking instructions from the same leadership of the House?
By the way, you know, when this mediation team are given a chance to go and talk, I don't want to believe that there's somebody who gives them instructions. These are people who have independent minds, and they are legislators, so they are not being dictated from any quarter. Yes.
Oh, okay, your final word on this, Agnes.
I'm surprised no one has brought up the fact that the issue of the stalemate is also influenced by personal aspirations and political aspirations of the now senators who are looking into being governors in the next election cycle. We know, and if you are very honest, you know that it's triggered by them knowing that they might be governors in the next election cycle. But as unanimously as we've said, I think it is time that both houses, the Senate and the National Assembly, came to an agreement.
Right.
And even so, right now is when the governors of all the county governors, the governments should take leadership and actually work with what they already have.
They don't have anything. There is no bill that has been passed to give them any money.
What was proposed, the 316, they should work with what they have and they should get the counties going. Because the people who are suffering right now are the average Mwananchi.
All right, so we have the mention of the case, the Supreme Court on the 9th of September. That should be next week on Monday, I believe.
The meeting is on 11.
Yes, and then, of course, we hope that the mediation will have been concluded by the expiry of 30 days, that is the 16th of September, by which time the Council of Governors have said that should there not be a solution, that they're going to ground to a halt the operations of the counties.